Well, look, I think we're about ready to kick off. Thank you to our attendees for joining us. I'd like to introduce Minh Tran, who is the co-founder and managing partner at Odysseus Partners, based out of Paris. If you've been tuning in for a few minutes, we've been catching up a little bit with Minh. He has a long experience in investing in fintech and insurtech, and certainly before insurtech was as hot as it is today. And so we're thrilled to have you, Minh. I know you also have a presentation. We're going to go through some questions and give you the opportunity to walk through some of those slides. But let's start with a quick intro about yourself and some of the work that you and Odysseus Partners are doing in the insurtech space.
So Odysseus Partner is an entity that focuses on investment solution for insurance companies. Basically, you want to enter a new domain, build a new assets, or partner with innovative solution with startups. What Odysseus does is they source the right partners for you within the startup industry, create a fund, a dedicated fund or a traditional fund, and then invest on your behalf and then develop a business program for insurance companies. That's what I do. I've done that, it's my third time. The first time I did that for a VC firm in France, building the fintech inside. I did the AXA Venture, AXA Seed Factory to AXA Venture. And then I'm doing right now for another European insurance called Apicil. So Wonderful. It's my third attempt.
And so let's, I guess, dive into the heart of things. And I think we'll look at COVID's impact on a number of things, but maybe we can start with, how do you see changes in user behavior as a result of COVID? Or what kind of user behavior changes do you expect to stick around?
Okay. It would be great because I'm just sharing my experience here. I don't have done any research, and you have plenty of people out there. So I'll give you my way of looking at the global perspective, the way I was looking at it when I was working for Nokia Venture back in the year 2000. So if you look back to, about 10 years ago, there was a crisis and about 17 startups were launched that are now unicorn, right? Uber, Airbnb, and so on. And we managed to spot that with this simple framework on your left, which is the combination of user, tech, and business trends. And you can explain disruption going forward. So I'm going to use the same framework to tell you what I've seen by looking at different articles or a deal flow within our own firm, and a recap of my discussion with insurance and startup going forward. So the framework is very simple. Let me illustrate it with a very simple example. So I went back 10 years. Let me go another 20 years, back in the year 2000. So in the year 2000, for some of you that were doing investment at that time, there was a change in the music consumption. People were listening to CD, they wanted to listen to music online, and they have the user trend. And technology was not able to do digital rights until it happened. So user and technology combined, there was the creation of Napster, for example. And then it was not ready to scale up. And then when the $1 per song, which was the business of iTunes at that time. So we can see that disruption came later on from the music industry, from CD to online with iTunes, Spotify, Deezer, and the whole business going forward. And you can see here that if you look at the three trends, if you see the combination of them, then you can spot new disruption going forward. So back to your question, what I see in user experience today. So I'm not going to invent the wheel here. I look mainly at the top 10 articles about Insurtech and COVID. And I've been reading, what on social networks, and you can combine those users into about basically three trends, right? An increasing demand for insurance coverage, especially for travel and health. You see now, and everybody, that's listening to this or watching this can relate to his own or her experience. We see adaptation to digital solution because everything is going remoteless. And then more demand for collective awareness for policies and risks associated with pandemics. So that's basically, it's where you can see, so there's a change of user going forward. and the user are now moving to tools like Zoom, like this tool, 10 million or 20 million to 200 million user, valuation went off the roof, and you can see the rise of remote working tools. So this what we see in the user. This is no news to anyone, but that's the first trend.
Great.
If you want to move to technology trend, which is interesting going forward, sorry. If you look at technology trends, here it's a more it's interesting to see from the Insurtech point of view 3 trends. One is the increase of data. So insurance use data to make policies and so on. And because of the change of behavior from the user trend, all the data that was used now are obsolete, right? There will be a new patterns going forward post-COVID, and you will see that insurance, in order to make their policies, will need new data set. And any tech out there that is going to provide a new set of data will be in need. We will see as well the increase of digital interaction. So we know from consumer that they want to move towards the use of digital solution, but there was also new techs that provide digital interaction. There's a whole batch of category called the stay-at-home tech. There's an index of that with about 20 companies. We have video conferencing, digital management, the e-commerce, and so on. There's a tech index and this index will be outperforming obviously the market. And obviously, all those technology will be an increased usage of cloud storage. That is very much the trend that we see, to summarize.
Okay, excellent. I just want to make a comment to our attendees. If anyone would like to ask a question, please use the Q&A feature. Just put your questions there and we'll try to take them when we can, whether it's for Minh or our upcoming session with Raed as well. And so, okay, so we started, Minh, with kind of user behavior. Then we're talking about new emerging technologies, right? Yeah. What about the business models and the business trends?
So the business model is mainly inputs from my discussion with insurance and the startup model. So obviously there's a change in operation. You've seen, that now from the insurance point of view, that insurance were not used to work remotely. So it took, probably a month for them to move to digital tools. Startups are used to that, but insurance companies were not used to that kind of change. So change in operation, change in dealing with claims, change in operational efficiency, and also not everybody has a crisis management system in place. So you see this going forward in a lot of insurance companies. The second business trend we see is the assessment of risk. So as I told you, in order to price a policy, an insurance will collect historical data, try to write a pattern, create models, and then price, right? But because of that, there's no more model to learn from. Businesses from startup need to pivot based on the user change of behavior, the new tech that will be in need to introduce new model, right? Maybe the model based on what is product A cannot work, and then move to product B, which is using certain technology, but creating new business models. So we see more and more solution like Flyer be integrated in customer journey of an e-commerce purchase with an insurance, and new ways to reassess risk with new data, right? And we see more and more people working on their financial impact model in order to see how to best avoid the big claims that we can see. One example is, Wimbledon. Wimbledon, I think, pay for 17 years a premium of $2 million, and then with the cancellation of Wimbledon, now they have the payment was 140 million or something like that, right? So there will be a need right now of insurance to reinvent new business model.
And so, do you think that we are going to all be much more sensitive to risk right? And thinking about understanding risk and you know, like, I guess, like, as a young, healthy person in general, historically, risk and insurance is not something that I've thought about personally for a long time, other than, of course, from a business perspective, but for my own personal consumption. Do you think that this crisis will put us all in a much more risk-forward mentality?
Yes, I think innovation will be there. I've seen three types of disruption. So the first part of uh, my presentation was to show you the different trends. So you look at articles to get user trend. You kind of, from the deal flow that you receive, kind of group different technology changes, and then you discuss with insurance about new businesses. And then when you have the three of them, you can start to learn from disruption, which is the second part. So we see three types and I do the first one very quickly, and you know about it because we talk about it, the acceleration of digital transformation. User want new digital solution to do remotely. There's an increase of cloud storage, right? You can move to solution online quicker, and there's a change in operation. So those three trends force an acceleration of digital transformation. Some insurance have done it very well. Some others are starting it. So the acceleration will be there. So that's the first one that we see. The second one that we discuss is this need of personalization, right? You now are aware that the global pandemic can happen, right? So you will be looking for more personalized insurance coverage, especially for travel and health, because we have different patterns and you won't have different policies and so on. And because data can now, new data can be reached out to tech, you'll be able to reassess risk. So the need of personalization will be there going forward. And then to answer your question, yes, I think that there will be a third disruption coming up is the rise of collective prevention impact. So what I mean by that is because you are aware of new policies and risk associated with pandemics, we are all aware. We have all people in our first network that passed away recently. So we all know somebody who just have been a victim of COVID-19. So this awareness, we force us to be more aware of what is the policy, what is covered, what it doesn't cover, you know, and how much you pay. Even if you have to pay a higher premium, there's plenty of examples than pandemic insurance were not subscribed because it was expensive, and now the premium raised, and March, I think, was estimated the market to become maybe 1.5 billion of premiums going forward. So there will be an increase from user. Technology will enable you to better price and interact. And obviously, insurance clearly want to do that because for the financial impact. So, rise of collective financial impact would be, I think, the third trend. And if you now step back and look at the global perspective, using the trends, trying to find 2-3 disruption, you can, but not you can. I mean, it's a no-brainer that innovation will be as important as never before, because we all need to find new solutions, right, going forward. And that's basically the main conclusion of our work today.
Very interesting. I think this is a very specific topic, so our attendees, I'm sure, have a particular interest in fintech or Insurtech. I'd love to hear from you a little bit about some of the companies that you have your eye on that you think are going to flourish in this environment. Like some innovative Insurtech companies, whether you've invested in them, whether you've passed on investing in them, but now you think this is great. I think this is going to be a huge hit, and tell us a little bit why.
I have 1 month of experience, right? So I've tried to look at only solutions that are digital. So I'm looking at a company that I'm working right now, which basically enable insurance to sell the product online. So if I work the top with my disruptions, I will focus more on digital solution for financial products. That would be one area. For example, I have a company called Perspecitve. They enable any insurance to sell the product online. It doesn't matter what kind of insurance, they just give you an API code. You put them on the website, then your product is sold online. And that is very useful for very low, where the subscription is low, like 10 euros, and you need to sell, 10,000, 20,000, 100,000 in non-expert networks. So basically with banks, for example. And so this is a perfect solution to enable you to sell it with this network. So that's one way. Second kind of technology is around the Uber doctors, right? I have another company called Medlands in Germany, and then basically it's a Uber for doctors. So you want to see a doctor online, and they provide you a visit if you need to, but also online consultation. Those kind of solution would be, done, and there's a huge demand on that as well. So online solution to stay-at-home technologies.
Excellent. We have a question from Adnan Ladi, and he was asking if you could elaborate more about innovation and digital products. I guess this is his question, but maybe if I could add to it and say, how do you see now kind of the big incumbents, the large insurance companies? And we will have an interview with a large Saudi insurer just after this. How do you see this transforming their innovation efforts? And in particular, how do you see this changing as well, the relationship with startups or their activities around investment? Do you expect to see an uptick, and what kind of areas do you expect to see that in?
So I think that startups and incumbents, we agree that there's a user change of pattern, right? It depends where you are, what kind of product you sell, but user will change the pattern. So if you understand user pattern, then you will source the right technology. Obviously, if you source the right technology, you will have no time to implement them within the insurance industry. And therefore, one conclusion could be to partner with the current technology out there with startups. Then if you partner with startups, which is already a trend, right? It will be an increasing trend. I mean, more and more partnership will be there. And technology from startup will be there to issue new businesses versus trying to, eat your lunch and so on, something like that. And those technology will require investment. So I see more insurance, as we discussed earlier in the discussion, try to partner with startup technologies, and then more insurance taking the lead into corporate invention. Because if you partner with a startup, at some point of the time, the investment issue will come on the table.
But you believe that today that we're going to see much more appetite from the perspective of insurance companies, large-scale incumbents to engage with startups because of this digital transformation imperative that you highlighted before? Yes,
because you have to innovate. You have to innovate with digital solution. You can do it internally, but you go faster if you partner. So if you're in insurance, we go to the innovation journey. You have first, step one, discover what I want to do, innovate, right? It takes discussion with agencies and internal discussion. But once you have a clear path where you want to go, you want to issue, a new climate insurance policy, right? Then you need to start to collect data. You start modeling and so on, and you need to get the tech in order to collect data. And this tech will be mainly provided by the startup world.
Okay, great. A question from Rania Al-Khaldi. She says she's interested to understand how will this affect employment in the insurance industry? How will it affect the types of roles or jobs available or the skills needed in the insurance industry?
I'm not sure I understand. So whether this will create new job or destroy new job, is it the question?
I think her question is the types of jobs, maybe. So, you were talking about data. My guess is probably the insurance companies will be hiring more data people or
analysts.
So I think she's interested in understanding what job opportunities might be available, and maybe that is also true for our attendees. For people who are looking for jobs, what kind of opportunities will that change in the industry? What kind of jobs will stop being there in insurance? Will it change, and what jobs will be more in demand? within the insurance industry?
I can't, I'm not from the insurance, but I can give you my perspective. I think that
Yeah, sure.
a lot of people, when you look at new set of data, we for example, hired, data analyst or digital manager, right? Because that's not the DNA of an insurance company. A few months back, we wanted to invest in the blockchain technology because data, the search of new data need to be saved somewhere. So blockchain could be one solution. And there was an investment we did in a blockchain company, and then we wanted to deploy the technology within the insurance firm. And then when we came to the meeting, there was no budget for proof of concept, and there was no data scientist to actually help to do the blockchain deployment. So I think data analysts, would be one way. But also digital officer, partnership people, how to combine the world of startups with, which is an environment in itself, with the world of insurance, how to do the bridge between those two worlds. I think it's the second set of skills that today is done externally.
Excellent. And I'll ask one last question from our audience as well. You talked about, I think it's really interesting, this insight that previous models that we've collected a lot of data and modeled out a lot of predictive modeling. And now a lot of that will have to be edited or changed because this is kind of a paradigm shift in user behavior. And the question here is about, online insurance coverage providers, Insurtech companies. If there'll be a proliferation of new technology in information discovery and in due diligence, and how they collect information and how they use that information to, I guess, price risk in the assets. And anything you can share with us insights on that. And I guess that'll be our last question before we welcome our next speaker as well.
I don't know. I don't have the answer. I can help to formulate the questions. So my job going forward in the next few months is to talk to insurance company and say, you don't have your data you collected for the past few years is now obsolete or partly obsolete. You want to collect new data to keep your business or introduce new business. How you that? What is the journey that you have to take? Because I'm an expert in corporate venture or outsourcing corporate venture, I can help people to do that. And my work is to collect the key problem that insurance want to do in the future and try to find the best way to answer them. So I don't have the answer, but I have the framework to get to the answer. So I don't know.
No, not at all. Minh, I think that this framework, I think, has been super interesting and very much something that all of us can, I believe, apply to our thinking to whatever industry we're in, right? Looking at triangulating user trends, technology trends, and business trends to try to see through the fog that we're all surrounded by right now in the current economic and business climate. I think right now, asking these questions, and I appreciate your patience with me, it's like asking the oracle to predict the future when everything is so difficult to see. So, Minh, thank you so much for joining us from Paris. We appreciate your taking the time and insights and sharing your insights with us. And we hope we'll have the opportunity to catch up with you again soon. And we wish you the best of luck as well with your corporate venturing. And I guess we hope to as well see some great success stories coming out of the Insurtech industry in the Middle East. So maybe next time we catch up, we'll be able to talk about some big success stories from our market.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Minh.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you. And attendees,